Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to be exploring a massive upgrade to our century-old master economic metric, GDP. For nearly 100 years, it's been the ultimate scoreboard for human success. But some really fascinating research suggests that we actually need a much more balanced, meaningful dashboard.
It all really starts with this fundamental, almost philosophical question. How should we actually judge the success of an economy? GDP has been our speedometer for decades, right? But does a speedometer actually tell you if the destination is even worth reaching? That's the core puzzle we're looking at today.
So here is our roadmap. We're going to cover the limits of GDP, ask what the economy is actually for, dive into the balanced dashboard, look at empty and harmful GDP, measure across time, and then wrap up with adaptable flourishing.
Section 1. The limits of GDP. Measuring scale, not health.
Think about this. GDP was designed way back in the 20th century to measure industrial output for wartime economies. It was literally never meant to measure human well-being. So relying solely on it is exactly like driving a car using only your speedometer. You're completely ignoring the fuel gauge, the engine temperature, and whether your passengers are actually safe. A modern society desperately needs a full navigation system.
Section 2. What is the economy for? Finding our telos. To build that navigation system, we have to look at this brilliant Aristotelian concept, eudaimonia. It roughly translates to human flourishing. Because when you think about it, a truly successful economy requires way more than just accumulating wealth. It means having real opportunities, dignified work, psychological well-being. It's all about realizing your potential within a healthy society.
What we're doing here is effectively moving from a simple output signal, GDP, into a multidimensional, balanced economic dashboard. And the ultimate goal? Creating what the source calls relative utopias, or context-sensitive flourishing. Our measurements absolutely must be derived from our actual purpose.
Section 3. The Balanced Economic Dashboard, Transcending and Including GDP.
Let's think about this like statistics for a second. No serious statistician would ever use only the mean or average without also looking at the distribution, the variance, the outliers. GDP is basically just the economic analog to the mean. It's a useful starting point for sure, but it is definitely not the whole diagnosis.
To fix this narrowness, the new dashboard takes critical indicators and organizes them into 6 specific clusters. We keep our economic foundation, things like GDP and inflation, but then we layer in distribution to measure poverty and mobility. We factor in value quality, ecological costs, future resilience, and ultimately flourishing outcomes, which covers things like your actual psychological well-being. It's a complete societal diagnostic.
Section 4. Empty and harmful GDP. Not all output is equal.
See, conventional metrics just count all market activity as positive, but first we actually have to subtract what's called empty GDP. This is economic motion that boosts output but does absolutely nothing for human flourishing. You know that endless soul-crushing administrative bureaucracy we all deal with? It costs money, it adds to GDP, but it certainly isn't making our lives any better.
Second, and this is definitely much more alarming, we have harmful GDP. This is activity that actively undermines our flourishing even while making the GDP line go up. A textbook example is the tobacco industry. The factory production, the massive marketing campaigns, and then all those massive hospital bills to treat the resulting illnesses, every single step of that boosts GDP. Yet they're actively destroying human health. Third, we have externalities. This happens when economic activity shifts its hidden costs onto other people, ecosystems, or future generations. Think massive carbon emissions or biodiversity loss. Under the old system, this just gets a free pass. On the new dashboard, these costs are aggressively measured and scored against our success.
Section 5. Measuring across time. Temporal intelligence.
A true navigation system has to be able to foresee the future, not just react to the present. By grouping metrics into current, leading, and lagging indicators, we get to see the whole temporal picture. Current metrics show us today. Leading indicators ask, what future are we creating? And lagging indicators show what our system has already produced. It forces leaders to finally look past short-term political cycles.
Section 6. Adaptable flourishing, building relative utopias.
Now here's where it gets really interesting and highly adaptable.
The dashboard isn't some rigid, one-size-fits-all model. While the baseline weights might give GDP a 20% slice, a developing nation might heavily prioritize that slice just to build basic material foundations. But a highly advanced economy, they could totally adjust the dials to aggressively penalize ecological cost and reward psychological well-being. It flexes to fit what the people actually need.
I want to leave you with a deeply provocative thought as we wrap up this explainer. If you were in charge, what dials and gauges would you put on your dashboard to achieve your own relative utopia? What actually matters most to your flourishing? It's a question that could quite literally change the world. Thanks for joining me, and keep asking the big questions.